The Galactic Combat Academy's training facility hummed with the low vibration of artificial gravity generators, their mechanical drone barely audible beneath the chittering, clicking, and whistling of a dozen alien species. Alexander Chen stood at the back of the amphitheater-style classroom, his human frame dwarfed by the towering Vorthak warriors and the crystalline Zalathi soldiers that surrounded him. Beside him, Nora Martinez adjusted her standard-issue combat vest, her dark eyes scanning the room with the practiced alertness of a seasoned fighter. Instructor Grixtal, a imposing Threnody with forearms and skin that shifted between purple and deep blue depending on his mood, loomed over the demonstration platform. His voice resonated through the universal translators clipped to each student's collar, carrying an undertone of skepticism that needed no translation. Combat techniques vary drastically across species, Grixtal announced, his secondary arms gesturing to elaborate holographic displays of various alien martial arts. The Kethamari rely on their natural armor and brute strength. The Sylphan use their flexibility and multiple limbs. The Draknari employ their venomous claws and lightning-fast reflexes. His primary eyes fixed on Alexander and Nora. But humans are fragile, soft, they break easily. A ripple of agreement passed through the classroom. The massive Vorthak student named Krieg let out what might have been a chuckle, the sound like grinding stone. One of the Zalathi, whose crystalline form caught and refracted the overhead lights, chimed in with a melodic tone that the translator rendered as, "Perhaps they should focus on long-range combat only." Grixtal's skin shifted to a deeper purple, indicating amusement. Indeed, humans evolved from persistence hunters on a gravity-heavy world. They can run for extended periods, but in close combat, he shrugged all four shoulders. They lack the natural weapons, armor, or enhanced reflexes of proper warrior species. Alexander felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his expression neutral. Nora, however, stepped forward. "Instructor," she said, her voice cutting through the ambient noise. "Permission to provide a demonstration?" The classroom fell silent. Grixtal's skin color shifted rapidly between blue and purple, a sign of surprise among his species. "A demonstration? Of human close combat?" The translator couldn't quite capture his tone, but the disbelief was universal. "Yes, sir," Nora replied, moving toward the demonstration platform with fluid grace. "I believe there may be some misconceptions about human combat capabilities." Grixtal gestured with one of his secondary arms toward a reinforced combat dummy, a humanoid figure, constructed from the same materials used in starship hulls. "Very well. Show us what human close combat looks like." Alexander watched as Nora approached the dummy, noting how she moved with the controlled precision of someone who had spent years honing her craft. The other students leaned forward, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed amusement. "Humans," Nora began, circling the dummy slowly, "didn't evolve natural weapons like claws or fangs. We don't have armored carapaces or venomous stingers." She paused, placing one hand gently on the dummy's chest. "But we evolved something else. We evolved the ability to make weapons out of anything." She stepped back and in one fluid motion, swept the dummy's legs while simultaneously driving her elbow down toward where its neck would be. The impact resonated through the chamber like a thunderclap, but the dummy remained intact. "We learned to turn our environment into an extension of ourselves," she continued, demonstrating a series of strikes that incorporated imaginary objects. A pen thrust toward pressure points, a chair leg used as a club, a jacket wrapped around an opponent's head. But it was Krieg, the massive Vorthak, who provided the real test. He stood up from his seat, his rocky hide gleaming under the lights. "This is all theory," he rumbled, his voice so deep it bypassed the translator entirely. "Face a real opponent." The challenge hung in the air. Grixtal's skin shifted to an alarmed yellow. "That would be inadvisable, the size difference alone." "I accept," Nora said quietly. The arena floor cleared as other students formed a circle around the combatants. Krieg towered over Nora by nearly 2 feet, his mass easily 3 times hers. His skin was literal stone, evolved from a high-gravity world where atmospheric pressure could crush most species. "I will try not to hurt you too badly, little human," Krieg said, extending what passed for courtesy among his people. Nora smiled. "I appreciate that." Krieg lunged forward with surprising speed for his size, massive arms sweeping toward Nora in an embrace that would have crushed her bones to powder. But she wasn't there. She had already moved, sliding under his reach and striking at the back of his knee, not with her fist but with her shoulder, using her entire body weight focused into a single point. The stone giant stumbled. Before he could recover, Nora had rebounded off the floor and wrapped herself around his arm, using his own massive limb as a lever against his shoulder joint. Physics didn't care about species or armor. Leverage was universal. Krieg tried to shake her off, but Nora flowed like water, redirecting his own strength against him. When he reached for her with his free hand, she abandoned her position and rolled away, but not before driving her knee into a nerve cluster she'd identified in his armpit. The Vorthak's arm went momentarily numb, and in that instant of vulnerability, Nora picked up the reinforced combat dummy, all 800 pounds of starship hull material, and brought it down on Krieg's head like a club. The dummy shattered into a dozen pieces. Krieg toppled backward, more from surprise than injury, his stone hide barely scratched but his pride thoroughly demolished. The silence that followed was profound. That, Alexander said into the quiet, is why humans conquered a world full of creatures that could kill us with their bare hands. Claws, fangs, and venom. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each alien student. We don't fight fair. We don't rely on our natural gifts. We adapt, we improvise, and we use everything around us as a weapon. Grikstal's skin had shifted to a pale, almost white hue, a color none of the students had seen before. His voice, when he spoke, carried a new tone of respect. Class dismissed, he said quietly. I believe we all have some studying to do. As the other students filed out in subdued silence, Nora helped Krieg to his feet. The massive alien looked down at her with something approaching awe. Your species, he said slowly, is terrifying. Nora grinned and patted his rocky shoulder. You have no idea. Outside the training facility, Alexander caught up with Nora as she walked toward the dormitory complex. The artificial stars of the space station's day cycle glittered overhead, through the transparent aluminum dome. You know they're going to spread that story across half the galaxy, he said. Good, Nora replied. Maybe next time someone decides to test humanity's resolve, they'll remember that we're the species that turned everything, even furniture, into weapons. Alexander chuckled, but his expression grew serious. The war's coming, isn't it? All this training, this academy. They're preparing us for something big. Nora nodded grimly. When it does come, they'll learn what humans do best. She glanced back toward the training facility, where maintenance crews were already cleaning up the shattered remains of the combat dummy. We survive, and we make sure our enemies don't. The artificial stars continued their slow rotation overhead, indifferent to the small drama that had just played out below. But in the databases of a dozen alien species, new files were being created, new assessments being written, files marked with a designation that would soon become legendary across the galaxy. Human. Handle with extreme caution.